If you look around at the fan and the lights, the heating, the air conditioning, the speaker, they're all different expressions of electricity. Electricity is the cause, the light, the sound, etc. That's all the effect. And the effect just changes based on the equipment, but the cause for all of them is the same. The example that Swami Chinmaya uses in this Upanishad is waves, foam, bubbles, the ocean. All of that is just water, but different expressions of water. Now look around at the people sitting in front of you, behind you. Them as equipments, them as expressions of that same divinity, that same God. And when we do, our relationships with ourselves, with people, changes. That's what this Rishi is trying to teach us, is you change in a fundamental way. And when you change, all changes. Simple economics is, if the micro changes, so does the macro, no? If the micro changes, the macro has to change. Because they're different expressions of each other. When we feel small, we pursue small. When we feel that we're just a human, then we live very ordinary lives. But if you start to feel that you're more than a human, you start to live an extraordinary life. There was a man who was seeing a psychiatrist because he thought he was a mouse. And he would go to the psychiatrist regularly, and the psychiatrist would say, "You're not a mouse. This is how a mouse looks. This is how you look. You're a man." And after many days and weeks, and finally that man accepted that, "I'm not a mouse. I am a man." And his wife was very happy that, he'll feel better about himself. And she came to pick him up, and they were both leaving. And minutes later, he ran back to that psychiatrist and sat in the office. And the psychiatrist said, "What happened? You now believe you're a man, so what's the problem?" And that man says, "I know I'm a man, but does the cat know that I'm a man too?" But he still feels that he's small, so he's living a very fear-filled life. This retreat has the same essence as religion is. Religion is Latin, made up of two roots. Religare, which means to bind back, to go home. In other words, to find one's potential. With very harsh notions of what religion is, because we look at it from the surface. But if you go to what religion means, another way to understand this is rehabilitation. If you fracture your finger, if you break your leg, you go to rehabilitation, you go to physiotherapy. And what was your potential, it's gone, but then it comes back. That's what this retreat is. That's what religion is. Rehabilitation of our potential. We may say women's power, but that's cutting yourself small. It is divine women's power. That's what your nature is. Divya. To be illumination. Devi. To know that your nature is illumination. To help us try to be an infinite person. Not just bigger, but infinite person. The first message we studied from Ishavasya Upanishad is from thoughts to togetherness. When we went on our walk today, did you judge the trees? Did you compare this part of the river to that part of the river? You didn't have such thoughts. There was just forest, just nature. There was togetherness there, even amongst yourselves. That picture where everyone was very close, that picture where everyone was making a Bollywood pose. So if I ask you to do it now, then no, I'm shy. Someone else will do it. When you're in togetherness, it's more natural to feel that togetherness. You choose it. Don't just think it's in the forest. That's conducive. Our second message was from granted to greatness. The more we remember those who are great, the more we will know we can do it also. When I interact with younger people and I ask, how many of you enjoy school? And there tends to be one person, who has their hand up. They're that same student that will remind the teacher, we had this homework assignment, you should ask us. But the proof in that is that if one person can enjoy it, that means everyone has the potential to enjoy school. Because school is neither intrinsically enjoyable or repulsive. Even now, I'm using the same mic and the same English words. And some of you, this is enjoyable, some of you, this is repulsive. But don't think it's the mic or my words. It is your software. How it's inputting this hardware. We continue that if you can follow these messages, what will be your future? So we went from present, now we go to future. I'm on Shloka 6 of Ishavasya Upanishad. And for all of our Bhagavad Gita students, there's so many similarities between this Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita. Yastu sarvani bhutani
Yastu sarvani bhutani
Atmanyevanu pashyati
Atmanyevanu pashyati
Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam
Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam
Tato na vijugupsate
Tato na vijugupsate.
And all of our Moha Mudra students, this is the shloka from Ishavasya Upanishad that I referenced. Remember? Yeah, we remember. Okay, what shloka was it? Yahatu sarvani bhutani. That person who, in all beings, atmani eva anupashyati. For that person who can see in all beings themselves. Okay? Anupashyati means not with their eyes, it means with vision. That they can see all beings as themselves. And in the next line, Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam. And they can see themselves as all beings. So the infinite in one and one in the infinite. And here's the fruit of this. Tataha na vijugupsate. For that person, there is no more hatred. There's no more repulsion. There's no more shrinking. And I like that definition of shrinking. You know when you're around someone that you don't like very much, you talk more or less. You look up more or less. Do you feel more relaxed or less relaxed? See how we shrink up with our body language, with our verbal words too. Are we as sweet with people that we feel repulsed by? They're critical and curt with such people. But if you see them as you and you as them, that won't happen. Isn't it worth trying this just for that? Not shrinking, but expansion. At an absolute level, we elaborate. Sarvani Bhutani means all beings without exception. So for us, we love all people other than that person. All people, all but that. I often tell people that a swear word in such self-development forums is but, B-U-T. I wanted to not take 2 servings of kulfi, but I paid for it. I wanted to go outside, but I only had 1 jacket and not 2 jackets. So I love all people, but see the exception we make. And once you make an exception, once that door is slightly open, isn't there a tendency for that door to open up more and more and more? But this person, and this person's family, and this person's family and friends, and this person's family and friends in their country. But Sarvani Bhutani means no exceptions. Infinity is infinity. There's no exceptions to that. You're either infinite or not. Big numbers don't count as infinity. Seeing all as oneself. Now, if I identify with my gender, can I see all as myself? Which means I have to go past my gender, correct? If we go into the forest, for me to see all as myself, if I identify with a human, is that possible? Can't do that either, because there's birds there. What is it that all of us are united by? And it's not gender, and it's not kingdom, phylum, family, class, genus, species. What is it?
Our nature.
Our nature? Be more specific.
Divinity.
Divinity, be more specific.
Consciousness.
Consciousness, good. Existence, awareness. Is everyone here made up of existence? If you say no, so your existence is made up of non-existence. And the same goes with females and males. The same goes with birds and humans. Even non-existence has to exist, correct? So that's what's being shared. To go past any sort of superficiality and see people as yourself. And then to see yourself as people. And I'll explain that in more detail. But just remember, when you do this, what is lost is Dvaita. Dvaita means separation. If all of you are me and I am you, then really I and you go away, correct? I and you are reference points. If there's I, there is you. If there's you, there is I. But if it's just oneness, we can't say I. We can't say you. Dvaita, separation, is purged, is renounced. We'll bring this to a relative level. Do Hindus worship idols?
Yes.
Do Hindus worship idols? Let's have a vote. Do a quick survey. How many of you believe that whatever our idea of Hindus and idols are, that Hindus worship idols by a show of hands. Okay? Do not worship idols. Okay. Confused. We do not worship idols. We worship ideals. We do not worship idols. We worship ideals. And that's why perhaps a better word is icon. Give me an icon of basketball. The NBA. Who's an icon in the NBA? I heard Shaquille O'Neal. I meant 2017, not 1957. Right, Michael Jordan. Who's an icon of hockey? Drove by that street to get here. Wayne Gretzky, right? He's from Brantford. What is an icon of Canada? A maple leaf, our flag. What's a famous emoji that people use? Oh, I saw the poo symbol. That poo symbol is actually chocolate ice cream. But it was misinterpretation, it turned into poo. But don't think that Hindus do that only. Isn't a cross an icon? Isn't Mecca an icon? Isn't the Dhammapada an icon? Isn't an emoji an icon? Isn't a wedding ring an icon? We don't worship idols, we worship ideals. And you know what's the first ideal that you should worship? What we call as a murti, a name and form of divinity. The first way to make this message real is to worship a murti, or an external form of that divinity. It is the first way. And then the evolution of that is to worship that same ideal as yourself. And what's the evolution of that? That same ideal of yourself as everyone. See the evolution. First you worship Madhava, Lord Krishna as an example. Then you worship yourself. Then you worship Manava. In other words, human. That's the only way for such freedom to exist. And some people have this ego that you should only do murti worship. You should only worship icons. Such people are like children. Karma kandis. You know, people who love the karma, and that's what they believe is the end. Then another type of ego is that I don't need to go through icons, I only worship myself. That's called the superiority complex. Such people also don't grow. They also don't evolve to the fullest. They're still at the means level, but think they're at the ends. But the true ends is going through having the support, which is an icon, seeing that icon as yourself, and then sharing that. That's how this journey works, and how clearly it's shown in this verse. So through this, we change two-ness into oneness. And I'll give you another way to look at this. In oneness, there's Shakti. There's peace. This morning, for those who drove from Toronto, must have been a magical drive compared to Monday to Friday. I recently heard that there's 180,000 cars that pass through Milton, morning and evening. That's war. To have that many cars pass through such a bottleneck. But this morning, just Shanti, right? You're the only one on the road. Correct? Where there's two-ness, where there's duality, there's kranti, or anger. Now suppose you're driving with someone from London to Ilderton, and you're driving, that person is napping, and you get lost. What do? You wake up that person. How come you're sleeping? We got lost because of you. All you had to do was listen to the GPS. But as long as there's someone to blame, blame them. And where there's more than duality or multiplicity, Bhranti or politics. Suppose we have a survey of, at our next retreat, we can only have tea or coffee. Suppose. Already politics will start. Okay, you all vote for this and then we'll get this done, you know? So there's peace or anger or politics. What this shloka is sharing, what this verse is sharing is do whatever it takes to bring about that oneness. Because in that, there's no vidyakupsate, there's no politics, there's no anger. So bring about that oneness. Now, how is that possible? You're going to force people to become one. The only way is by you change. And how do you change? By accepting yourself. You accept yourself, you learn to accept other people also. There's a methodology in all of this. When we chant Hanuman Chalisa, we say, Ati Chatura. That Hanumanji is Ati Chatura. He's extremely skilled. And why he's extremely skilled is because he loves Bhagwan Rama. Anyone you love, you will develop means to help that person. If you have older parents and you love them, won't you create time to go see them? Make time to support them. If you love a certain artist, won't you find ways to listen to them, to see their painting, etc., etc.? But if you're casual about it, you won't create that opportunity. So here, if you love peace, you will find a way to make yourself one with all people. It's up to you. I was sharing with someone earlier. Do people who smoke cigarettes know that cigarettes will kill them? Did they know that?
Yeah.
They know the information, but they don't have the knowledge about that. It's information, which is why they still smoke. But if someone has the knowledge that this will kill them, will they smoke? Probably not. Probably not. So in the same way, our idea of peace is very military-like. Canada's in peace right now. Because we're not in a war. Our idea of peace is our kids listening to us a little bit more. That's enough peace. But the peace that is being shared in the scripture, it's like the Bible says, it's a peace that is beyond all understanding, that passeth all understanding. It's beyond these equipments. It is who you are. Now, a way to try to practice seeing all in yourself, seeing yourself in all, is that everyone is a seeker. Every human, animal, and plant is trying to bring more peace into their lives. Whether they achieve it or not is separate, but they're trying. Someone tries to do it through power, another person tries to do it through giving, some person's through getting, but everyone's trying to be happier. If we put this in a sports sense, if all of us are trying to shoot on the same net, what is the implication of that? We're all on the same team. If you score on your own net by accident, it doesn't mean you're on a different team. We don't like you that you did that, but it doesn't mean that you're on a different team. You're still on the same team. And when everyone's on the same team, shouldn't we support each other rather than cut each other? See, that's one way to make us all one, no? Is to identify as a seeker, to see seekers. Then you bring about that oneness, and what goes away? Anger. Don't you want your husbands to be less angry? Don't you want your kids to be less angry? Don't you want your boss to be less angry? The world would be a very different place without anger. I'll highlight another vice that is destructive. First, I'll give you the tactile point. Here's the tactile point for Shloka 6. From comfort to calmness. From comfort to calmness. So far we've focused on from thoughts to togetherness. From granted to greatness. From comfort to calmness. What's a comfort zone? What is a comfort zone?
To have it.
Habit. Anyone else?
To be at ease.
To be at ease.
Not challenged.
Not challenged. Good. I'd like to think of a comfort zone as a dependency. I need to be in this zone to be at ease. And if I'm outside of this zone, I'm not at ease. Which really means I'm dependent on the context. And if the context changes, then I'm gone. It's like a mindset. If the circumstances is changed, then we become upset. That mindset leads to upset when that setting changes. That's what comfort is. What's calmness? What's calmness? Calmness is your software. Is the focus. You are independent. In Sanskrit we use the word sattva, no? Sattva is calmness. When you're calm and there's chaos around you, are you affected by that chaos? In fact, you bring calmness to that chaos. Step outside of your comfort zone means whatever it takes to bring about that oneness. That's what a calm person would do. A comfortable person, this is who I am. Period. They're complacent. Someone had said, not challenged, not challenging. You know who's the most boring person? Please don't say in your mind, I am right now. The most boring person is the person who's always bored. Isn't it? But the person who's interested in everything, they're the most interesting person. But the least interesting person is the least interested person. And they're very much about comfort zone. This is my home, this is my family, this is my community. It's all known to them. There's so little unknown to them. Where do you go on vacation? Toronto. Where do Torontonians go? Niagara Falls. Right? There's a whole other hemisphere you can visit. That's too much. You know, that's what they look too much. The vice that I wanted to share that steals our potential from us is called matsarya. What does matsarya mean in English? Jealousy. Are you jealous of yourself? Do you look in the mirror and say, I wish I had hair like you? You can't be jealous of yourself. Are you proud of yourself? You look at your teeth and say, yeah, you know, your lips keep saying, your teeth, you're awesome. Matsarya means mat-sarya, which means when you slip away from me. See, if you're behind me, very good. If you're beside me, it's okay, but I keep looking at you, you know? You keep giving up one of these when you're driving beside someone. But when you slip ahead, then jealousy kicks in, no? And jealousy is a disease. Stress is a disease. High blood pressure is a disease. So is jealousy. I read an awesome quote that said, jealousy is a disease. Get well soon. It is a disease, but that disease only exists in separation. And if you don't want to feel jealous, if you don't want this disease, you have to bring that oneness. So go from comfort to calmness. You're not going to be around people you're comfortable with all the time. And if you are, you're not growing. Who are your real friends? On Instagram. Those are your real friends. Your real friends are those who challenge you. And if people don't challenge you, they're not your friends. They're comfort. They're not calmness. Another way to look at this is going to anger. Because Viju Gupsate means repulsion. Jealousy is repulsive. Anger is repulsive. Anger is like holding a hot coal and you're about to throw it at someone. Who's getting burned first? And the more you want to throw it hard at someone, what's happening? You keep burning yourself more, no? That's what I'm saying is, we want to be more peaceful, but it's only information for us. We don't have the knowledge of what peace is. Because if we did know, our whole life would be directed towards that. When I was driving to West Virginia a couple of weeks ago, by chance I listened to a very wonderful interview on NPR about a mother whose daughter was killed in the Sandy Hook shootings. Is that the correct school name where it is? Sandy Hook. Her daughter was, I think, 6 years old, and she has 3 kids, and one of her kids was killed in this shooting. And she couldn't handle herself, obviously. And in this article, in this interview, she was talking about a book she wrote where she wanted to meet the parents, specifically the father of the shooter, who was also killed. She wanted to meet that father, the one, that son had killed her daughter. And the reason why she wanted to meet him is because she felt the loss of her daughter, and he also lost his son too, no? Both were killed on that day. And she felt great shanti, or forgiveness for the father. That what the father is still alive, he's still enduring, experiencing whatever people will project at him. When for all of us, we have a study of vasanas that we have a small part in raising our children, but they've come back with a lot of nature. But where is the finger pointed? At the parents. So imagine what he's going through. And she tried to empathize with him and met him and felt that shanti, that forgiveness. Now you have to understand the word shanti means forgiveness. And in the word shanti, what other word do you know? Shanti. That's shanti with a K. Okay, that's what forgiveness means. And if you forgive, and forgiveness is forgiving, correct? Think about the word. Forgiveness. When you forgive, what do you get in return? Shanti. In forgiveness, you do not focus on the separation. You focus on the unity. What a great lady. Possible. Listen, you can read her book, listen to her report. It's not just me making up things because I'm creative like that. Possible. That's what's so beautiful about people sharing their personal experiences, that someone killing a child, if forgiveness can be done for that, and someone not showing up on time, or someone forgetting an important birthday or whatever. That's like water falling on the floor. Who cares? And I really feel because that lady had knowledge of Shanti. She felt so much loss that she needed to be out of loss. She wanted peace. Ati Chatura. She did whatever it took for peace. Last shloka that we will study is verse 7. Similar thought. Telling us what is the carrot of all of our efforts. Yasmin sarvani bhutani.
Yasmin sarvani bhutani.
Atmeva bhudvijanataha.
Atmeva bhutvijanataha.
Tatra ko mohaka shokaha.
Tatra ko mohaka shokaha.
Ekatvam anupashyataha.
Ekatvam anupashyataha.
Yasmin sarvani bhutani. Similar thought as the last verse in English I'm explaining. For the one who, sarvani, in all, bhutani, in all beings, atma eva bhut. Abhut vijanata. For that person who knows that all beings are in themselves. Vijanata, special word there. Doesn't know it as an information level, not just intellectually, but at an experiential level, at a knowledge level. Tantra, for such a person, kaha moha, where is the confusion? Tatra kaha shokaha, where's the sorrow? Ekatva, oneness, anupashyataha, such a person sees. So I'll elaborate at an absolute level. In oneness, there is no moha or confusion. One of the most confusing experiences we have is not knowing what to do. What school do you choose? What partner do you choose? When do you retire? What is the right thing to do? When there's an argument, whose side do you take? But that's all in separation, in Dvaita. But in oneness, there is no confusion, no moha. But if there is confusion, what's the next emotion that comes? Bhaya. Bhaya means fear. When we're confused, we become afraid. If you don't know where you're driving, there's confusion, don't you become a more fear-filled driver? That's why some people don't like driving at night. They're more confused, they can't see the signs and so on. So become more scared. And where there's bhaya, what does it finally settle as? Shoka, or sorrow. There's no amusement park in London, but there's a Western Fair. Do they still have the Western Fair? So they have rides. They have carnival rides at the Western Fair. And they have these, let's say there's a roller coaster there. Next Devi retreat, we'll do at the Western Fair. Does that work for everyone? We'll do this retreat there. But you have to go on the roller coaster. So if the roller coaster is 1 minute long, will you all go on? Yes? So for all of the people who said yes, if the roller coaster is 10 minutes long, will you still come? What if it's an hour long? What if it's the whole retreat? 40 hours long. You just keep going again and again and again. See, bhaya is fun. Fear is fun if you know it's going to end. But if you don't know it's going to end, it becomes sorrow, no? So what our Rishi is telling us here, in oneness there is no confusion. There's no fear. There's no sorrow. Isn't oneness worth it? And oneness, again, is not outside. But it actually is. What is your body made up of? Tell me some of the stuff your body's made up of. Water. Anyone here whose body's not made up of water? Okay, very good. Next. Air. Anyone here whose body's not made up of air? Okay, next. Fire. Veins, flesh, a heart, brain sizes are different. Right? We're all made up of the same matter. But how are we so different? It's a projection, it's a game. And if you go deeper, there may be a lot of different combinations and permutations of matter, but that which is at livening is only one. We call that life. There's different livers. There's only one life. We have to feel this. See, all of you intellectually are agreeing with me. But as soon as you go to your shoes, and if someone kicks your shoes by accident, you know, just 45 degrees, just a stare down. I'll see you at the next retreat. That's what I'm saying is information, but do you feel this? You have to feel this for this to become real. We all talk about love, but do we feel love? We love our parents. Do we feel that? Or is it just because we're supposed to? It's an intellectual idea. Do we feel like we love Canada? Do we still litter? Still avoid taxes? Knowledge is a catalyst to vision, a catalyst to understand. That's why in Sanatana Dharma, in our retreats, we hammer the knowledge part. Because knowledge directly affects your vision. And without it, it's chewing but it's spitting everything out. There's some flavor in your mouth, but there's no health that comes with it. Swami Deshwananda shared it this way. You all know what a Tootsie Roll is? See, I have some gum in my bag over here. Imagine I went to eat this piece of gum, but I left the wrapper on. Should I do it? They're all sadists. Yeah, do it. Some of that sugar will come out, but I'll just be chewing on that foil too, correct? That's like us right now. But with knowledge, you take off that foil and you get to enjoy that gum freely. You get to feel that gum. That's good advertising for it. Buy Wrigley. At a relative level, okay? How do we know what is right? How do you know you've married the right person? Yes, we are also wondering. How do you know that you've made the right decision to come today? How do you know what is right for important matters? Not red curry or yellow curry. How? You don't have to go to a retreat to figure that out. How do you know what is right for important matters? A way to understand this, it's called the path of Shreyas. Shreyas means long-term, path of peace. The right path is maximum happiness for maximum people, for maximum time, in maximum ways. What was the first qualification? Maximum? Happiness, not GDP, not degrees. I met a friend yesterday, he's a dermatologist, so he went to school for 12 years. I was thinking, whoa, you were in school for a long time. And he's relatively happy, but I don't think he learned how to be absolutely happy in those 12 years. Which is why he asked me to visit him. So maximum happiness. What was the next? Maximum people. Who's the first person you should learn to love? Do you love yourself? A way you know you love yourself is when you give back to yourself. I often think we take so much from this body, this mind, this intellect, but what do we give back? Junk food doesn't count. Binging on sleep doesn't count. It is exercise. It is reading. It is thinking. Otherwise, we've been given this gift, and it's like the goose that lays a golden egg. Let's kill the goose and just take everything at once. After you learn to love yourself, who should you learn to love next? Who's next? Family. If you don't know how to love yourself, you may be in a family legally. There's a missing there when it comes to love. People love to share the saying, a family that prays together stays together. While people are praying, one person's sleeping, another person is texting, another person's complaining. Just because people stay together doesn't make them a family. It's not common law. You can have common law partners, but not common law family, I think. But you get what I'm talking about. After family, and I'm going to repeat that, because a lot of us just get stuck here. After you learn to love your family, and this is how you know if you learn to love your family. What's next? Community. Community is you've taken that which is known and you're sharing it to more of a unknown. Community. This is community. If you are not loving your community, there's more to grow. Don't pat yourself on the back. There's lots more to go. After community is society, more unknown. After society, humanity, even more unknown. And after humanity, divinity. You bring in animals and plants. Is infinity just community? Infinity goes all the way to the end. That level of love needs to be shared. Maximum people. Many of us have put this fence around us, community. This is my community only. This should be my community also. Then society, training. Every experience is training. I'm fortunate that I am assigned to many centers in Chinmaya Mission. It is my privilege that I get to look after many centers and work with many people. And now you have the opportunity too, but so much fear. I'm talking about our center, our ashram. So much fear that this is community only. More. Maximum happiness, maximum people, maximum time. What Eddie Vedder said at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Eddie Vedder is the lead singer of Pearl Jam. He said, "Let us not be remembered as that generation that did too little for the environment." We keep taking from the environment, and soon the environment will not be there to provide. Cities like Mumbai, New York, Miami, soon those cities will become a memory because the water levels will just keep on rising. They've never seen glaciers that have broken off so quickly and are floating around near Canada now. And we're all comfortably sitting. But what will happen in 50 years? Where are the people in New York going to go? 20 million people, where will they shift? Already the GTA can't handle how many people are living there, correct? That's why you keep buying properties in London. See, maximum time. We have to be thinking 100 years, at least. That word was used. If you look around here, what is beautiful here is that there's some high school students, some university students, some younger people. Typically in self-development forums, who do you see? People have nothing better to do. Typically. Okay, and I'm not picking on people, anyone who's here is awesome. Full out. But the sooner you come to this, the more you can benefit, no? Is it better to be happy when you're 40 or 20? Before you're bored is best. See, my point is that Swami Chinmaya and the Chinmaya Mission is thinking 50 years for the younger people, focusing on knowledge, not on karma or rituals. Who's going to survive in this game? You will see. Maximum time. And then maximum ways. What's the easiest thing that you can give to someone else? Resources, money. And even that, very difficult for some of us. What's harder to give? Time. What's the hardest to give? Effort. Maximum ways means you give all of that. How do you know what the right thing to do is? You assess all of these factors. What will create the maximum happiness for the maximum people, for the maximum time, maximum ways? That's what's right. Now go to the opposite. Minimum happiness, minimum people, minimum time, minimum ways. Who are you thinking about? Ourselves, and that won't work out for us. Selfishness does not work out in a productive way. If we have, suppose there's 60 people here, we have 50 slices of cheesecake. Suppose, okay, there's no cheesecake here. You're all thinking, is that our prasad afterwards? And you wolf down your deserved slice. Okay, suppose there's 60. And you were the first person in line. I said cheesecake, you're already there. You've already completed one slice before everyone gets theirs, and you go in for another. And now you're eating your second slice. How does it taste? This may work in the wrong way better. For anyone who's thinking, you're thinking, oh, I got 2 slices and that person didn't even get 1. See, that instinct for selfishness burned ourselves. And the other person, too. Missed out on that cheesecake. I feel that if we use this model, knowing what to do, following the right path, Shreyas, is not so complicated. To be able to live like this, we have to learn how to empathize. Tell me what the difference is between apathy, sympathy, and empathy. Apathy, sympathy, empathy. What is the difference?
Empathy is to feel what other person, to be able to feel what other person is feeling.
Okay, what's sympathy then?
Sorry for that person.
Okay, so empathy is I feel what that person's going through. Sympathy is I feel bad for that person. You suck. What's apathy then? Do not compare apathy to ignorance. Because in ignorance, you don't know that person, so you can't help that person. Apathy is you know and you still don't care. So apathy is hatred. Sympathy is you know the person, but there's where the but comes in. But you're looking at yourself first and more. Sympathy is fear. Because that but always comes into the sentence. But. And nobody here is apathetic. And why I'm highlighting sympathy and empathy is because many of us are sympathetic and we're fine with that. When you can go to empathy, empathy is where you know about a person and you're thinking about them as much as you think about yourself. You care about them as much as you care about yourself. That is called love. Which many of you say, how do you get rid of these vices? Love. But you have to make love real and alive. Swami Chinmaya says, knowing is not doing, doing is doing. I wanted to wish you on your birthday, but I didn't. Just knowing it is not doing it, correct? Doing is doing. That's what empathy is. If we're able to practice empathy, we will give up any chance of being a asura. What does asura mean? What does asura mean? Demon. And specifically, sura means light. Asura means where there is no light. Now we're not talking about externally. Remember when I asked you to turn the lights on? Now all the lights are on now. It's not about externally, it's internally. There's no light. I'm confused. Moha. And when I'm confused, what comes with that? Bhaya, or fear. With that, what comes? Shoka, or sorrow. And in Sanskrit, we use the word tamas. Someone who is tamasic, lazy inside. That person's afraid to move. That person has anxiety. That's their sorrow. And here's where Acharya Shankara shares the real Rakshasas in our lives. Rakshasas means demons. And we tend to externalize them. The real Rakshasas are called Raga and Dvesha. Likes and dislikes. So today we had dal, or lentils, for lunch. Suppose you like lentils, but instead there's potatoes for lunch. What will you think about this retreat? Those sympathetic organizers. Don't they have any empathy? Maximum happiness, maximum people, maximum time, maximum ways. If you have a like, there's a dislike that's coming with it. But if you prefer potatoes, but they give you lentils, is there a problem then? No. Preference. See how likes and dislikes steal away any light from us, our potential. And Swami Chinmaya says, our whole life we run after likes. And what do our likes do? They run away. Our whole life we run away from dislikes. What do? They chase us down. So if you live a life of likes and dislikes, you will be so tired. I like this person, so I have to sit with them. All the seats are full. So you sit here, and the person you dislike the most will come sit beside you. You've all seen that happen. And then it's a game, like, okay, they're sitting beside me, but I can't look there. I have to pretend like I'm reading. I have to pretend like I'm paying attention to the discourse. Those asuras are not outside, they're inside. Sympathy, fear. Here's our tactile point. This is our last tactile point. What was the second tactile point I gave you? Looking at me, not reading. What was the second tactile point I gave you? From granted to greatness. Now, whenever I feel that I'm being taken for granted, remember there's people who are working harder. Fourth tactile point? Oh, so you're making up the tactile points now. What is the first tactile point? Thoughts to togetherness. Thoughts make us separate. Togetherness, I gotta work hard to bring us together. Third? Comfort to calmness. Calmness is to be challenged, to be fine with that. The last tactile point is from human to, what would the last word be? Human to Hanuman, yes. But you have to follow the pattern. Listen to the words, listen to the English. Togetherness. Greatness. Calmness. So what would the last word be? Humanness. Is humanness a word? Kindness is good. I want something deeper. Divine. Don't make up words. I'm trying to hold English here. I'm already poor in English and you're confusing me more. Happiness. From human to happiness. You all came in as humans, but you should leave as happiness. Human is your body. Happiness is your nature. Human to happiness. I just spent 15 minutes talking about maximum happiness, not divineness. Next retreat, only discourses in the morning, no discourses in the afternoon. Human to happiness. If you feel you're small, you will live a small life. But if you feel that you're more than a human, that you are not lazy inside, that your nature is divineness, then you will experience happiness. Then, mantra. I'm going to give you some theology. Mantra goes to Mother KK and tells her that she should ask Raja Dashratha to make Bharata the king and Rama should be exiled. Everybody knows this story. Most people know this story. That's the theology of all of this. But you have to think deep. That's the karma part. I'll bring in the jnana part, which I think will blow your mind. The knowledge part. It blew my mind. Raja Dashratha symbolizes kama, or desire. He was a desirous man. On the night that his son was going to become king, his son was practicing great disciplines. He was going to his youngest, most attractive wife for desire. And if desire is there, what emotion is going to come next? Mother KK is indicative of anger, krodha. Where there's desire, there is going to be anger. Because our desires are limitless. And the chances of you getting limitless is not a lot, so you get anger. Where did Raja Dashratha find KK? In the Gopa Bhavana. There's a specific room where when you're angry, you go to that room. It's like a conflict room. Swami Tejamananda was joking. Now every room in people's homes is a conflict room, right? Bathroom's conflict room, garage is conflict room. Bedroom I won't even start with. Where there's desire, there's going to be anger. And what is mantra? What is she indicative of? Where there's anger, what's coming also? Greed. Greed or lobha. Why did she tell Mother Kaikai this? Because she didn't want to become a second-hand maid. She wanted to be the main queen's maid. And making this even more tight for those who study Bhagavad Gita, what are the 3 gates to hell? Desire, anger, greed. If we do not practice all that we've learned today, we will banish Rama. Rama means joy from our kingdom. Who's responsible for doing that? Nobody can force desire into your mind. Cannot. We will have banished him ourselves. If we practice this nitya. Nitya means always. While you're making coffee, while you're drinking coffee, while you're cleaning up after coffee, before you sleep, during sleep, wake up from sleep. Nitya. No restriction on space, time, matter. No controlled environment. Bhagwan Rama will become your king. In other words, joy will find its place in your heart. So Devi's choice is up to you. To be the smaller person and banish joy, or to be the bigger person and bring in joy. Choose wisely. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari